Shalom Quang. Shake be my home, shake be my throne, shake be the place where my ancestors roam, shake be shake be, shake be, shake be my home, shake be my throne, shake be the place where my ancestors roam, shake be shake be.
Thank you so much. So I just saw this film for the first time right now, like many of you, and I was blown away. I got involved in any way, shape, or form because I got asked to be on an online panel about Indigenous mental health, and I guess Brooklyn was already working on the Seed film, and so I saw a little bit of that, and I guess that's why they invited me up here. So we've got Brooklyn, and we've got War Turtle, Norris, and I just want to know, first of all, does anyone in the audience have any questions about the film, about its impetus, or any comments about the film that they want to ask before we get into like a discussion? Oh, okay, hold on. You need a red tank top? Oh, it's okay. I'll get them later.
I guess I just wanted to know, where were Maria and Miguel's parents?
It's an excellent question. And I think primarily they were absent, which is obvious, so I don't mean to escape your question. It's something that I was, considering. I've seen the film more than a couple times now. I think there are a lot of things in the film that I have like clarity and certainty about the presence and meaning of, or in my intention. And in terms of a particular backstory, I don't know.
So if I could add a little something to it. For me, watching the film, being a part of making the film, knowing the backstory and layers of it, I saw a lack of presence of their parents as a bit of a reflection of the disconnection that many Indigenous families will have from their traditional cultures and identities. A lot of times, the responsibility falls to the grandparents.
Little background on the script development. It's a needed topic to address. It's not something that's terribly mainstream, so I'm curious as a first feature, because it is rather substantial in its size, why that particular topic and how did the script itself evolve?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, and thank you so much, Chief, for allowing us to come here. I wrote it in 2020. Shortly after returning from a period of time I got to spend in that Achuar community, the Achuar nation of Ecuador. And upon returning, while I was there, I was really, sort of trying to like open myself up for, truthfully a fictional story to create in a humble way in the community there, in G.H.O.T.I. I was there as as an English instructor, as a student, that means. And in my life, film had already become clear as a very powerful vehicle and tool for various things. So combined with tech literacy, it occurred to me like, wow, what a wonderful way of potentially trying to not only preserve the very, very intricate specifics of the beautiful culture of certain Achuar stories, encourage youth or any age creativity in terms of storytelling while gaining the technical skills required to tell it. While I was there, that's what I was thinking about. And when I returned, I had this very specific idea for a film that, in terms of tone, was nothing like this turned out to be. It was more so sort of a supernatural, maybe horror thing, a little bit more pertaining to a physical transformation. Someone really undergoing a transformation from a human form to a mountain lion form on a daily basis. And as I wrote it, I guess became more in touch with some of the more important elements of it. And so this sat in the can for like 3 years. And over that time, the story transformed a lot. The role that my mentor and friend Norris played was initially scripted as a friendly, well-intentioned police officer, believe it or not. And truly, just in the weeks before filming this thing, like it was, you can't make this stuff up. Basically I was just trying to do my best to really, offer a humble prayer that did sort of change with time. And a different meaning emerged in that character, which is basically sort of like a divine authority of the forest. Not someone there to punish, but someone who is there holding a good presence for someone.
Kind of like keeping the balance, I would say. That's what I got from your character, was that there was the balance that had to be kept. And I think from what I got from some of the scenes involving the medication specifically, is that he had to find a balance within himself, that he wasn't able to get through the medication or get off of it. Had to find that middle ground between walking the two worlds, the spirit realm and the regular human realm. And it's very difficult for people who have a high level of spirituality or connected to nature in that way to exist in nature as a human, as we are collectively destroying a lot of our ecosystem. It's very difficult to live in that and find peace at the same time. And I think that for me, that was a big theme that came out of the film. This idea that how can we live here, see what's going on? Is it mental illness to be, like we talked about before, is it mental illness to be depressed about the loss of the forests? Or is that just sane? Is that sanity? What is sane or what is useful change depending on the historical context? And I just thought that your film really brought that to the forefront, obviously with the character's struggles. I mean, it was obvious with the medicine, but the internal struggle of having to walk the two worlds, and that tightrope, how tiny a tightrope it can be for a lot of people.
Hi, I was wondering if you could speak to the intentionality of your music choices in the film, and specifically about the cultural influence of your time with the Ashwar people, and how that sort of informed the presence of Mountain Lion, and you just had such a wide selection of musical genre that felt really consciously chosen. So if you could comment on that.
Thank you so much, honey. Everybody, this is my loving wife, Anna, who came down from Massachusetts. It's funny. So there's a sacred song in this film offered by my friend Gonzalo, and it's a Jaguar Anon, it's called. And I was thinking about the first couple incredible presentations, and in particular Kevin's presentation about translation, and I was thinking how could a computer translate Anon? Because it's not a song. It might kind of be a song, but it's not just a song. To call it a song is to at best, not describe it with any real meaningful accuracy. And basically, they're just, I guess for lack of a better word, maybe magical. And there are anons that folks sing to their gardens to eat well, and there are folks that sing hunting songs to hunt and connect, basically. And so with that sort of idea, I guess rather within that frame, the whole point of this film is to direct focus to Mazatzin, the final music, Cherokee, which is the Lenape name for the region known as New Jersey by most people. And part of the point of the film, the big point of the part of the film, is to shift focus to Aztecs in the meaning of the word I learned today, of people who are really in harmony with the land, and basically to try to understand the Cherokee song as very sacred music, and basically, I think really I think the film posits understanding and learning to listen to and hold Mazatzin, the Akashic's music, as sacred music, as a remedy to a lot of our mental health issues. So music's a big part. Thanks, Anna.
So following up that question, oh, sorry, what? I'll get to you, Carrie, 1 second, sorry. Following up that question, what was your personal connection to the mountain lion? Is that like a totem that spoke to you specifically? Like, why that creature, as opposed to a monkey or a bird or an eagle? Okay. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pass this off to Norris in just a sec, because he has a lot of understanding and depth and connection to it that I didn't really.
Okay.
I think for me it definitely stemmed from, when I mentioned the relationship of coming back from the G.H.O.T.I world with a desire to create a fictional film that would help. There is jaguar transfer into mountain lion. And, in the part of the world where I grew up and spent most of my life in Rockland County, there were mountain lions, and they are now extinct. There are indigenous people where I live, but there aren't mountain lions. And so I think there was sort of an idea of honoring the lineage of the land.
Nice, very good. Thank you.
Yes, so earlier, Maz did a wonderful presentation dealing with the Aztec calendar, much of the meaning behind it. And he spoke of the jaguar and what the jaguar represents on Earth. Right? So when you go back into what we would call Olmec culture, spoke on that a little bit earlier, the jaguar represents deity or spirit, and in that culture, when you're born into the world, you come from the spirit world into the physical, and in the spirit world, you're represented as a jaguar, or as a panther. So you can see elements of that, like in Apocalypto movie, show elements of that. So there's a tradition amongst the Olmec people of that transformation. A lot of what we know this to be has come to us in the form of shamanism, right, that exists in all indigenous cultures. So the jaguar represents that principle of transformation. And up here, that symbol would be the mountain lion.
Now, for me, watching the movie and understanding a lot about mental illness, I understood his struggles. And to me, what I got from it was he was always just trying to be okay, whether it was on medicine or being out in the woods, thinking that his grandmother was there talking to him. He was always fighting to be okay. My question is, what was the true character of his boss? Because if she was supposed to be okay and had no mental illness, I think the whole way her relationship with him, she couldn't have been okay. Like, she had some of her own issues. She took advantage of this young man. She was not kind to this young man. So it looked like she had her own issues, and she was not there to do anything to help him. But him, he was steadily fighting to be okay, right? It's not about the medicine, sister. I'm okay. Let me just go in the woods. Whether he saw his grandmother, she wasn't there or not. I understood his character. I understood his fight. I was just confused by the boss. Like, what was her reasoning for even having this relationship with him? And she wasn't on medicine. So it was a very, very good movie, and I love what I took away from it. I just feel like she was not somebody to help him, and he was continuing to fight to survive. So if you could just tell me a little bit about that character.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you brought this up about Eloise. I feel like, she's dangerous, basically, and that a lot of her, for instance, there's this sort of like, and I think appropriately doesn't get laughs because it's dangerous, it's not really funny, when she makes a joke about all white people are ops, that whole vibe that she has, if it's real, she's not loving herself even a little bit, So I think like a lot of her intensity that she, shows Miguel from the get-go, and when she's there with their grandmother, and she's like, I'm not trying to preserve white people, or, that whole line. It's interesting to Miguel, and definitely also dangerous. And, this also just boils back to a bigger thing in the film of like, he made a humble terrified prayer, you know, to have an opportunity to create a new life. And he got a job. And then instead of taking care of the job, he starts, you know, basically entering a clearly reckless sexual relationship with someone with whom he doesn't even know. And so it all boils down that way, you know, but I'm happy that you identified for us the unhealed, dangerous aspect of Eloise, because, you know, it's not about pointing fingers at her either. Everyone's suffering.
Hi. I just want to surmise a little bit. I saw a lot of symbolism in this. I want to know if that was intentional. The duality that was in this in terms of each character and what they brought to the table, okay? The mental illness for me showed in the duality in every character that I saw, because the psychosis was evident in all of them. The grandmother, the schizophrenic behavior from the young man, the struggle between good and evil, the struggles with and again, it's duality. Can you just give me an explanation on that? And was that really intentional?
I just want to add, because this is speaking to that. If you notice during the film, there wasn't a lot of clothing change, right? That's not intentional. Eloise had on a sweatshirt that was an Air Jordan sweatshirt. It said we need leaders, right? The mountain lion, St. Francis, the prayer is about the abuse of leadership. So a lot of these layers, this is why I say, like, every time I watch the film, I see more and more, right? Because it's a symbolic thing that's happening, and I don't know if we can take credit for all of that. I think it's something spiritual. It was something that was beyond us that presented itself in the film, and it was for us to even learn from what was going on as it was happening.
Yeah, if I could add on to that, one part that I sort of saw for the first time tonight, like Norris was saying, like, you know, there's a lot of intentionality and an understanding of, the intentions that I understood, but it does continue to reveal too. Just at the way end, you know, from the story of her, it's a quick shot, but she cuts open the fence, and the line for a little bit basically indicates a disinterest or a fear in leaving, you know, and basically runs out into a hostile environment that he can't survive in, you know. And I think, like, some symbolism I saw in that this evening or this afternoon is the way in which, for some people, unfortunately, there's a degree of boundary that is helpful for our own growth and healing if we understand it. And even though it's positioned as him in captivity earlier on, he wasn't able to survive outside, you know? So I think that's how it also connects to the idea of, you know, the sacred sexual force and a recklessness of expression in that regard, you know, can either be wasteful or harmful. And on the contrary, in the story we didn't see, maybe in the maybe not so entertaining story that we didn't see, someone might just keep his walls up and go to work, and then 3 years later it'll really bloom nicely.
Tying it together with the theme of placemaking, like, what brought you to this, and how do you think it all fits in with placemaking?
Yeah, thank you so much. I was raised around film. Dr. Pinto mentioned this morning a Denzel film called Philadelphia. That's a film that my dad directed, and he was, you know, is well known for the fiction work that he did, and he was just as passionate and serious and faithful about his documentary work. And that's sort of more the zone that he intentionally, or like directly schooled me versus me just being around it and learning about it. And you know, I assisted him in a couple different things, but then I found myself at college at a place called Oberlin College in Ohio, which has a really rich history. it celebrates its achievement as being the first school to admit African American men and women. And you know, that is part of the history that attracted me to it. And you know, in reality, this is a very small city west of Cleveland, lots of soy fields, very little population. And basically, it was coming to mind powerfully today as an example of basically a colonial space that in many ways functions for the comfort and preferences and safety of people who don't have roots there, but who come to the college and basically sort of just live in the town without really living in the town. And you know, I was just thinking about how the college knows and celebrates this history, but doesn't really uphold it. And you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful history. That's also connected to the college, but different. Like, I don't know if people know about John Brown. There's a wonderful event this evening, you know, honoring and celebrating abolition. John Brown was a militant white abolitionist who, you know, worked with a number of African American student and non-student residents of Oberlin who laid down their lives at Harper's Ferry. And you know, it's just this very serious, very incredible history that folks, you only really knew about if you cared. And meanwhile, the, you know, young-ish African Americans in the town are getting, you know, basically sent into the court system, either for socializing with college students or, you know, using non-excludable college resources like library, gymnasium, that kind of stuff. And basically, to bring it all full circle, that was the first time that with friends of mine who I met there, we made a video. And I was the filmmaker who, you know, used the tool very, very crudely, but it doesn't need to be artistic to be impactful. And just by sharing the message, it did require attention to people in positions of power. And you know, that's a lot of the work Ashley and I do in NIAC with Truth to Power. So you know, I think a lot of it is about understanding where we are.
We have time for one more question before we close out. I see a hand up over here, so we'll give the chief the honor of that. Very good.
You got any glasses? My husband.
Yeah, it's a comment with a follow-up question. I wanted to say that I appreciated your use of nature as the backdrop, the dynamics between the people and nature, the fading in and out between the flora, the fauna, the life force of the water, and how you kept bringing it back and forth. I thought that was a fabulous use, instead of the entire screen blowing up in the first 5 minutes with the guy throwing the match over his shoulder. You actually weaved how everything was tied together, people and animals and birds, etc. That was nicely done. The question is, what do you have coming next? What's on the pipeline? This was pretty good. You kind of settled in, you figure out what you're going to do with it. Do you guys have anything to look forward to that we can watch next year?
Would you like to take this one, Morris?
Sure. Well, we got Ashley's up next. And what's the name of it? That Kid?
That Kid. Yeah, which shines a light on the emotional challenges which gifted African American boys face in school environments on the road to success. And we also have some documentary work coming up.
Yes. Diligence on Red Sands is a documentary we're working on that's going to help articulate the story of our family, primarily the fight Cousin Carrie is waging right now. Just received a verdict on an instrumental, very important case that's going to allow us to move forward. And to bring it back to placemaking, I think film is a medium that we can use to give us the loudest voice we have possible today. So marrying film with placemaking, having this be a part of this conference, I think it's going to allow not just us, but hopefully other filmmakers who come along and have something to say. It can be an opportunity for them to have an audience and express their concerns through their films, through their art. And that's the best way to create dialogue and conversation.
Round of applause for our moderators. You did an excellent job. And that, well, first let me share this. I'm extremely excited that we have been able to add this particular portion into the confestival, just so that everyone kind of understands what the goal is with this. It's to create an annual space where these types of discussions through various different mediums, whether it be a presentation, whether it be a cultural workshop, whether it be a discussion in a film presentation, where like-minded individuals who are discussing these matters can come to annually and present and engage. I hate saying it like this, but I don't really know how else people can grasp it when I'm saying it. Very similar to what they do in a South by Southwest every year, where you have film, you have music, you have conferences, but they all come back to Austin every year to do that. That's ideally what we're looking to do here, but within this framework of cultural placemaking, because it seems to be catching ears internationally, it seems to be catching ears locally, and we seem to have some very quality people that are in support of it. So we would love to continue to host this segment of it. Personally, I would love to work with you all to be lead on that. To the sister who's working on the documentary around gifted black children, I'll share a personal experience that makes that so relatable to me. My grandmother got me into a gifted program in middle school at Nathaniel Green. And the way they run the gifted program is you're in the school with everyone else, but you're just in the gifted program. So I'm in the gifted program, but then they're having gang fights in the hallway, you know, so it was this really crazy situation I was navigating. But I had a teacher who gave me an assignment in 7th grade. And I really wanted to do good on the assignment. So I came home, I stayed up for me at the time, it was relatively late, to like 10:30 working on it. My grandmother helped me out. I went in and I handed the assignment in, and the next day, I got called down to the principal's office. And when I got down there, he basically told me that my teacher had reported me for plagiarism because she didn't think that it was possible for me to write something that good on my own. So I had a grandmother who was just very fierce when it came to protecting me. She raised me. So she went in and she gave them a piece of her mind, you know, and they dropped it. But as I got older, I realized because of that experience, I spent the next 6 years, the rest of middle school and all of high school, thinking I was stupid. That no matter how hard I tried, someone was going to tell me it wasn't good enough. So I went from being in the gifted program in 7th grade to graduating high school, second to last in my class, and having to do an extra year at a postgraduate program because I didn't think I was smart because of that experience. And then it was only because of a teacher pulling me to the side in my postgraduate program, asking me why I acted stupid when I wasn't, that I snapped out of it. So I'm very interested in that work, and I look forward to seeing it when you present.
Shake be my home, shake be my throne, shake be the place where my ancestors roam, shake be, oh, oh, oh. Shake be, shake be. Shake be my home, shake be my throne, shake be the place where my ancestors roam, shake be, oh, oh, oh. Shake be. Listen, Welagoon to walking. Peace to every living thing. Our mother is the earth, so all of y'all are all my siblings. I've been in my own world for quite some time. I'm done reflecting. Discovered my divinity. We are the intervention. I never lost my morals, but my values went through changes. Can't put too much faith in men. That shit is